Hello and welcome to Just Ride Bikes, and this, the brand new Canyon GrizlON, the German company's second generation e-gravel bike. Yes, that's right, a carbon gravel bike with a motor. But who on earth is this bike designed for? Who is it aimed at? We'll discuss that in a bit more detail later in today's video and in a first ride coming in the next few weeks. But today we're focused on what the bike is all about. I'll walk you around some of the cool features and technical details and highlights, because sadly I've not had time to ride the bike before today's launch due to stuff happening behind the scenes. So I'll take a closer look at the bike and do let me know what you think of this bike and e-gravel as a category by leaving a comment down below. Now, this is the company's second generation e-gravel bike. They launched the GrizlON back in 2020 with a hover handlebar, but this is an all-new bike designed around a regular handlebar based on the Grizl, which it shares the same name with, and also the Grizl, which was relaunched last year. There's similarities in the frame details and elsewhere on the bike, but key to the design of this bike was keeping the weight as low as possible, and they do that by using carbon fiber for the frame and also the brand new Bosch SX motor. Now, if you kept pace with e-bike development over the last few years, you'll know there's full-fat, high-powered e-bikes, but also a growing number of lightweight, lower-powered motors, of which the Bosch SX is one of them. And the idea with these lower-powered motors is to keep the weight down, increase the range from the battery in the down tube. So you're looking at about 100 kilometers, give or take, depending on terrain and rider fitness, and there's a range extender as well for an optional cost, and give a more natural ride feel due to the low weight and the low torque of that motor. Specialized are doing something similar with the Creo 2 SL, which I rode last year at the launch in Portugal. That's my first experience of an e-gravel bike, and it definitely opened my eyes to the possibilities of this type of bike as a category for quite a few people. So with this bike here, you're looking at a weight of just over 15 kilos, about 15.3 kilos, which is pretty good for an e-bike. They are usually 20 kilos or more. So 15 kilos is pretty good. Now, compared to a regular carbon gravel bike, it's about twice the weight. A Grizl CFR is about 8 kilos, so a lot more weight, but you have the battery in the down tube, of course, and that Bosch SX motor. And on this bike we have a suspension fork as well, something they offer on the regular non-motorized Grizl already. So key details: we have the brand new Bosch SX motor down in the belly of the bike, and the battery in the down tube, and a control unit on the top tube for choosing the level of assist you want and turning it on and off. Tyre clearance is up to 50 mil, so more than the Grizl that launched last year, and all bikes are spec'd with a 45 mil wide tyre. There are mudguard mounts, and the company offers a model in the range with mudguards and their own rear rack, and that bike is a perfect opportunity for the commuting transport utility option, and I think that where the bike can score very highly as well. They're clearly designed for people who want to explore, go adventuring and seek new horizons and all that sort of stuff, but also that versatility and practical aspect that many gravel bikes do offer for lots of people. We're buying gravel bikes less for gravel riding and more for commuting, touring and just riding on the crappy roads most of us have to deal with, and that bike looks a really interesting option. We then have lights built into the bike front and rear, made by Lupine, a German company, so high quality and all replaceable as well. So we have rear lights on both sides of the frame at the back, and a small headlight on the handlebar as well. The rear lights are on all the time as soon as you power the bike on, and the front light you can turn it off and go through different modes. All the lights are powered by the main battery and take very little draw from that battery too. And if the battery dies, you still have 2 hours of run time on the lights as well, so get you home if the battery runs short on a ride. So a nice integration of lights compared to what we saw with Cannondale and their Smart Ascent, which wasn't so well received. But on an e-bike like this, when you have a whopping big battery in the down tube, it makes a lot more sense. And the way it's seamless in the frame, it's very nicely done, as you'd expect from Canyon. Canyon has rather neatly also incorporated the Fiddlelock quick loader removable frame storage bag from the Grizl launched last year for carrying food, clothing and tools. The geometry is the slackest drop bar offering ever from Canyon, with a 69.5 degree head angle, which is the stuff of mountain bikes from a few years ago, so slacker than the Grizl and the Grizl. And all the other angles are designed to offer a very stable, very planted feel, which is a benefit with the weight of the bike being a lot higher than a non-assisted bike, and also the higher speed potential when you have a motor in the bike too. And that geometry is designed around a short stem and a wide flared handlebar as well. And they've opted for a two-piece handlebar and stem rather than a one-piece because it gives more flexibility for changing those items. And there is some internal routing of the cables and brake hoses to keep the whole front end and the frame very clean. And then up front we have the RockShox Rudy suspension fork, giving 40 mil of travel, which does make sense on a bike like this. You have a lot more weight and a lot more power behind you, so you're hitting rocks and boulders a lot harder and at higher speeds than a regular bike, and just give more smoothness and more comfort. And I saw that successfully on the Specialized Creo 2 SL with a Future Shock, but I personally think the suspension fork is a better option for a bike like this. And the weight penalty is marginal on a bike like this, especially when you have the assistance of the motor. Then we have the very familiar VCLS split seat post, giving more comfort in the saddle, and a nice conventional external seat bolt, and you can fit a dropper seat post as well. Indeed, the top of the range model does come with a dropper seat post, but personally I'd rather have the extra comfort of this saddle over the limited comfort of a dropper seat post. Now here in Europe there are 4 models in the range to choose from, priced from 5,000 euros up to 8,000 euros, and this is the second from the top model, costing 7,000 euros. I'll put UK and US prices on screen now for you. So we have a carbon frame, DT Swiss carbon wheels, a SRAM force axis group set, well most of it, with the battery replaced by a wire going into the main frame, so no battery down there to worry about, and that is really neat. Hydraulic disc brakes, of course, a carbon fibre FSA crankset, and a aluminium handlebar and stem. For comparison, the Specialized Turbo Creo 2 Expert, also with a carbon frame and carbon wheels, costs 8,500 euros despite a lower end SRAM rival specification, but it does weigh 1 kilo less at just under 14 kilograms. The Canyon suspension fork would definitely account for a big chunk of that weight difference. And in case you're wondering, yes, you can buy a very nice Canyon Grizl CFR, the one launched last year with GRX Di2, for the same price and half the weight. So a lighter weight carbon fibre gravel bike or a heavier but motorised e-gravel bike. Which you choose? Let me know by leaving a comment down below. So let's discuss the topic of who an e-gravel bike is for and who should rush out and buy a GrizlON when it's available. And I think the answer depends. We have seen an explosion in popularity and demand for e-bikes, especially over in the mountain bike world, and we are seeing more drop bar, road and gravel bike options. And you probably know, if you're watching this, if it's a bike for you, and equally you know it's not the bike for you. But e-bikes are here to stay, and in the drop bar world, I think personally, based on my limited experience, admittedly, that an e-gravel bike makes more sense than an e-road bike, especially here in the UK and Europe, where there's a really measly low 25 km/h speed limit for the assistance. Over in the US, you have a much higher speed limit and it's a totally different kettle of fish. But here in the UK and Europe, I think a knobbly tired e-gravel bike makes a lot of sense, both for people who want and need and require the assistance from the motor. They live somewhere very hilly, or they want to remove that fitness barrier that you can have with a regular bike, or they just want to explore further and faster with less limitations that their fitness might impose on them. And with the new generation of lightweight motors and the long range you can get, and that more natural feeling you get from such a bike, so it doesn't feel like a heavy, cumbersome bike at all, these bikes can make a lot of sense. Ultimately, you know if the bike makes sense for you or not. They're definitely not for everybody, that much is clear, but what it represents is another choice, another option for people who have been riding bikes all their life, or for people new to cycling who might like the idea of a bit of assistance for the riding they do. And that is no bad thing at all. It's just more ways to explore cycling, more ways to enjoy cycling for more people. And more people riding bikes is no bad thing at all. In fact, it's something we should all encourage and celebrate. So I'm fully on board with e-bikes. Not for everybody, as I said before, but for lots of people, this bike will be absolutely spot on. I can't wait to get changed and go for a ride and explore my local trails and challenge myself on some longer routes and see how the bike really performs. And I also like the fact that it has that commuter transport utility aspect as well. With a faster rolling tyre, some nice mud guards and a rear rack, this bike looks really exciting for lots of people buying e-bikes for getting around across town and so on. So it's a bike I can't wait to ride over the coming weeks, and I'll keep you updated right here on Just Ride Bikes. And you see that first ride by hitting that subscribe button down below. And if you want to see a first ride of that Specialized Creo, then watch that video right up there. And of course, do let me know what you think of the bike by leaving a comment down below. But that is all for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this overview of Canyon's brand new bike. I'll see you again very soon. Thank you so much for watching.